All right, where are we? We're in the Grizzly tournament. We're in Tuesday's qualifying round in the rookie division. I'm going to go out and practice with my odd account. Get one more round of practice in. I'm gonna try. My goal is to qualify today with this account, my practice account, and tighten up my notes a little bit more. I actually wrote stuff down for all of the holes except for 5, 6, 7. So I've got no idea. I'll have to wing those when I get to them. So here we go. Hole number 1. All right. Got lots of different ways to play it. I'm going to lay it up right here, and I'm trying to go for the rough bump. So what I found out yesterday. So my typical MO, if you're really going for the tournaments, is like day one, not to be too worried about the numbers as far as like wind adjustments. The main thing is trying to figure out what clubs, what balls. So I'm going to lay it up right here. You can do that with a QB, rock. You can do it with any driver, but something with good ball guide, great accuracy. And what I found yesterday was with the Kingmaker, it put my red line right at this rough bump. And you can be in front of the rough bump and walk it back down to the cup, but I'm trying to do the rough bump here. And so a Kingmaker was too much. So I'm going to bring a Katana today. And I think if you have tailwind, even a Katana might not be enough. This might be a great hole for one of the 1-power low wind balls, because you could get out to the area very easily on the drive, and then on your second shot, you could be in a good spot. But I don't have any low power, low wind ball, so that's where we're at. let's get in there. Got to move this stuff around anytime I touch something. Google does not want you to use any apps that aren't in the Play Store. So even if you've allowed apps that have overlay, if they're not in the Play Store, they're screwing up. And it's causing me problems. I can't use my grid anymore. I got to find a new grid. I could use the one that's in a Golf Tosh notebook, but I'll have to go back through and see what the deal is. I'm still trying to find. I've loaded several of them, but they don't allow you to write your own code and really customize it for you. You've got to kind of use what they have in there, and we'll see. I'm not sure what Google's issue is with material queue. Now you can bring out a big ball and go like my opponent is. The key there is you got to get down there far enough to get past those trees. And I think I would have set that shot up on the right-hand side and tried to use left-hand curl to try and get me out there. Instead of curling myself into the rough. Give yourself more room on the right for the curl to develop, and then try and bring it to the left so that you can close the distance to the cup. I'm going to pull back from the red line to the 0 mark. I'll do the +1, it's easier. Do one top spin. You're so far downhill here, we should probably be doing about 20%. So if I did 20%, that's 5. That'd be like 4.3 times 2, that's 8. That'd be 5 and a little. Try and hit it perfect. We'll see how much that wind is pushing it. Hitting it perfect. And I'm trying to get all of the distance that I can possibly get, where I'm riding up that ridge and trying to stay up there. So anything great to the left there, you're screwed. The good news is that you can recover if you've got a Spitfire, because it's got tons of topspin. You can bounce off of this island over here. There's a little fairway island, and then you can recover. There is the possibility. And my dogs are out there barking at squirrels in the neighbor. The snake ball. The snake pit. All right, I'm doing this rough bump, and I haven't. So here's where numbers come in. I know what I need to bring out. Hopefully this ball will get me to the area. And I got a little bit more distance, so today I'm still in the red line issue. I think this might be a quasar hole. So if I add on 10% onto that, how close can I get? Wow. And that seems far downhill. That would be 3.8. There's 3.8, pretty close to 4. Oh, and hit one ring great to the left. Just barely clipped that rough and almost made it in too fast. So I probably want to do a little more than 10 just for the way that the wind was blowing there. I'm going to have to think about the distance deal. If I bring out a quasar, I'm getting more into my sniper because I don't have as much distance. I got a lot on the drive, so it's really tight down in that area. I'm going to have to think long and hard about what I want to bring on that if I want to do that rough bump. The other way to go at it is to go in front of that with your sniper. You can be about 3 rings of separation off, and you can use the backboard to bring it back down. And that's probably, I think, maybe they're going to have to bring out a bigger ball so that my red line's correct. So let's think about that. Let me look at that hole here. So today I got every single bit that you could get out of it. If I'd have been anywhere on the left-hand side, I'd have been in the sand. And you could use this island to try and bounce yourself over to try and recover. And like I said, there's a big ass backboard here so that you can get a little bit of run to the cup. But a Spitfire works good because it's got tons of topspin. So you have the possibility of recovering from this. If I hit yesterday, I think I was a little bit farther back, and with a 3 power ball, my red line was literally right in the zone. My sniper was in front of it, and I couldn't get there with my Grizzly. And today, I was just barely in my Grizzly. And that little teeny bit of distance down here can play a big factor. I guess the way to go there is to bring Goliath. If you're going to do that rough bump, is to bring Goliath. Because the Goliath is going to make the red line. There is no red line between your Goliath and your sniper. It's non-existent. So you're going to have plenty of room there. So either bring out a Goliath to do that rough bump. And that might be the way to go if you want to do the rough bump. So let me change my notes here. I'm gonna stick with the Katana, but I'm gonna bring a Goliath. And it would definitely be at max club, and max club is 1.9 per ring. I think the 10%, I hit it, the wind was blowing, if I remember correctly, the wind was blowing kind of like in this direction. And I barely hit, so if here's the rough, I mean, I was aimed in the middle and I hit barely on the edge. So on that pool, with that kind of wind, I did a +10, and I'm going to have to up that number a little bit. I'm going to have to tweak that. If I want to do that rough bump, I'm going to have to tweak it. And I'm going to start off with a 15. We'll see what that does. Working the notes. This is what these qualifying rounds are all about, and this is why it's important to have a practice account, so you can go out and you can try and figure out the numbers for yourself. Like I could say, hey man, you can go out on this hole and you can do a 10%, but a 10% with what club, what ball, and you know, you come out there with a different club or a different ball, and now all of a sudden that 10% is not right. You're in a different spot in your club, and so it's important to figure this stuff out on your own. This is why it's so important to record your own video. Hole number 2, sniper, Katana. I think I already got the Katana picked. What is hole number 2? I gotta go grab these so that I can touch the screen. What is hole number 2? And I'm using a Katana on this because I don't have any 1 power. What you really want on this is a 1 power 3 side spin ball. So you can start off in this spot and you can go for, there is a funnel in there. And you can give yourself, with a 3 side spin ball, you can give yourself a couple rings of separation off of this. The problem here is, if you can give yourself a little bit of room so that if you hit a great to the right, you're still hitting the rough. The problem is if you hit it great to the left, it's farther. The distance from where you'd come out of the rough here is, you got to go a lot farther on this side, so it's very possible that you could clip the rough. If you hit a 2-ring great to the left, you're screwed. The problem with the Katana is it works great with pure side wind or headwind, but if you've got tailwind, you may not be able to work the wind out. And so what you got to do is you got to go a little bit farther forward. So let's see. Let's see. We will check it out. Now they went out and barked. Now they want to go in the house. Now we got tailwind here, so this will be the test. This may be difficult with tailwind. And I know it's 3 side spin for sure. We'll have to work out the top spin. If I can get an opponent. Forward, perfect. Forward, perfect goes first. And I'm going to be looking at a very similar wind. I got the same wind ball. So that means I need to give myself, and let's see where we're at in the club. I'm pretty sure you're at minimum club. They are using a Titan though. I suppose the other way to go with this is to bring out a bigger ball and once again use a Goliath. That way you can be at the front of your red line. And a Goliath's got lots of topspin. Let's see what my opponent can do. Let's see what they can do. First of all, let's find out where the hell we're at in our club. So there's min. So I am at minimum club. Minimum club's 1.3 per ring. .3 equals divided by 1.3 is 3.1 rings. I don't think I was moving the screen. I was moving the screen and not the ball, so this could be bad. And I hit it great to the left. What is it with the greats to the left today? Okay, puppies, let's go in the house. Come on. Gotta let the dogs in. Who let the dogs out? I did. Damn it. All right, there is room to work the stuff out there, but that was a bad adjustment. I don't know what the deal was. I was grabbing a hold of it and I got about 3 rings out, and and then all of a sudden it looked like I was moving the screen and not the ball guide. You can see where that funnel was at. There's that spot down there. You get it in that spot, and with a 1 power ball, you got a little bit of room on your red line to be able to work out wind in any direction. Let me make some notes here. 1.3 per min club. Min club. I'm going to start off with my min numbers, which is 31.3. All right, hole number 3. Tightening up my notes for my main account. All right. Which way's the wind blowing? Blowing with us. Excuse me. Yesterday I took a 4 power ball out there and I was seeing if I could like pound it out and get over the rough. I think you can with a 5 power ball. If you got one of those albatross balls or a 5 power ball that's got topspin boost, or even a 4 power ball that's got topspin boost, if the wind's blowing with you, if you got tailwind, you could potentially get over this rough area and end up over here. I know I've been over there a couple times and you got a great shot, obviously, but this is going to be our consistent landing zone here. So I'm just going to take a Titan, the king of balls. That's right. You heard it here. You can't get it done with a Titan. You just can't get it done. That's what it says on the ball. I'm going to take my extra mile. Now I'm going to take the wind out completely because I'm not trying to get, I want to get way down in there, but the deal is I want the shot to be consistent. So if you come on at one time and you're leaving the wind in, and the next time you've got a side wind and you're taking the wind out, and then the next time you got headwind and you're having to fight up against it, you can't take anything out. Your landing zone on the end is going to be, you're going to end up with 3 different types of landing zones, and the goal is to try and set it up so that you can be in a consistent spot, even if it's further back. The closer you can get up there, you can get into your short iron range. So the deal is, let's see if we can set this up for max OP. Do I need to use all my topspin? I'm going to just go with 6 topspin. .6. Should be about a ring and a half. There's 2.1. That leaves me 5, so that's about a ring and a quarter, ring and a third. One ring great to the right. Just give me a good look at it. 391. Let's write that number down. 391. Let's see if we can get to a consistent spot. Pretty much right where my opponent's at, and they're in their long iron. Now you have several ways you can go at this. You can go straight at it, or you can use the backboard. I'm going to try and go straight at it, but there is a backboard that you can do here. But I was talking about it yesterday. This might be if you got a thorn, because you got great ball guy with a thorn. I think an upper developed Grizzly's got the same kind of ball guide. It's like 4.4. Times 4. Let's see where I'm at in my club. There's max, there's min. So I'm about minimum club. Let's see if I could go for it. I could. Let's see what kind of ball guide, kind of drift I can get down there. Can I get it anywhere where I can get it close? I don't like having to extrapolate that much. That is a big word. Especially for somebody like me. 4.5. I'm at min club. Divided by 1.4. Let's say 3.5 or 3.2. It'd be 3.25. And I'm out of time. Taking too much time trying to figure the shot out. What are you doing? This is why you have a practice account. So obviously, I probably won't qualify today. It might be a great day for another practice round. Tomorrow, I have some work to do tomorrow, but I've got for the most part, I got tomorrow off. Grizz, there's min, there's max, so there would be mid. I do like the way that ball guide's going. I get it. I wish I don't need them to give me all of this to put that stuff on there. I know I'm using a Grizzly. Okay, now you got my shit in my way. .2. I'm going to do the same thing as about 3.3. Hitting it perfect. Really don't like having to use that much backspin on a shot like that. That was a way under pull. You don't know. I don't know if that was an under pull. Because you're having to extrapolate how it's going to roll down that hill. I think I might bring. I don't normally play with a thorn, but I might bring a thorn on that. I have enough backspin to get it on there, but the deal is with a thorn, let's look at the ball guide. With a thorn, if you put on max backspin, you can actually see where the tail is going to go. It's got so much ball guide. And that's not going to work because I'm in long iron. So that won't work. What was I thinking? I guess a Grizzly's it. I'm going to have to mark that as a hole I'm working on. That's a hole in progress. I don't know how I want to play that. I don't like having to use that much backspin going in there. But I definitely like going straight at the cup. And there wasn't much distance where I could move it forward. The only other way is to bring out a much bigger ball, and that's kind of a waste for that hole. I'm going to have to work on how I want to play that hole. I may have to ask some friends. Phone a friend. Hole number 4. All right. I'm going to play this hole from down here and just bounce it up and go for it. There is a rough bump that you can do here. There's a rough bump right here that you can do. But you're going to really have to know what the what the wind numbers are. I played this hole a couple times yesterday, and you definitely want to know what the adjustment is. You're going to have to play it a few times to find out, because depending on which way the wind's blowing, I think it's going to be different. Grizzly and a Katana. Grizzly. All right. All right. This whole overlay thing is really pissing me off. Because now they're hiding my pen from me. What happens is if I use the pen, then I come back and I can't touch anything on the screen. So then I got to move the pen around a little bit and then go back and touch something on the screen. Because Google's saving me from myself. We know you gave permission to use that. And we know that when you got done giving permission, you turned it off so other programs couldn't have permission. But we're going to limit permission because we want to save you from yourself. Thanks, Google. I have 4 programs that use overlays, and all 4 of them are not in the Play Store. And they're the only programs on my device that have been affected. Other programs that I have that have overlays that are in the Play Store have not been affected at all. But Google's like, hey, it is in the Play Store, we don't care. I'm curious to find out on my TV. Tonight I'm going to get on and go to the Amazon store, the Amazon app store, and download the Amazon app from the Amazon store so that you can make purchases while you're in the Amazon app. But if you've downloaded the Amazon app from the Google Play Store, you cannot make purchases because Google wants up to 30% of every purchase that's made. So like when you buy something through Playdemic, Google takes up to 30% of that purchase because it was done through the payment system that everybody agrees to when they put their app in the Play Store. So Amazon's like, screw you, we're not giving you 30% of all of our purchase, every purchase that comes through. And so that's why if you open up your Amazon app on your TV or on your device and you're like, hey, I can't make a purchase anymore, that's because Amazon said, screw you guys. Okay. 3 times 1.35. 4.1 rings. And I don't blame them. It's like somebody wanting to make a purchase from me and they want to pay with a credit card and I got to pay 3%. I got to pay 3% so that credit card company's customer can make a purchase from me. They should be paying me 3% to take a credit card. What a racket. And they charge the customer interest if they don't pay it off immediately. What a real racket. They're making it on both ends. And I don't take credit cards very often just because of that reason. And if I do, if somebody wants to do it, they want to do it because they want to get points. And I just tell them straight up, it's 3% more than the bid if you want to pay with a credit card. Yeah, but I want to get points. And you want me to pay the 3%. So you can get points. What kind of deal is that? What kind of deal is that? All right. Didn't want to turn the page off. We wanted to go look at the next hole. All right, here's another hole we got to figure out. Which way is the wind blowing? I'm going to bring in a berserker. I don't think I need anything more than that. I know I took this for a long time with a rock because it had a lot of curl. And a QB, you could get up there with max OP, and you could do it with a very accurate club with a bigger ball. And you had to do overpower every time. The whole goal is to try and standardize it out. I really want to see where it ends up if I just like pound it like everything it's got. Like how much that backboard will stop it. Is if I put everything on it with a 5 power ball, the first bounce is at the top of the hill, and the second bounce clears the rough completely and is down on the bottom. And I think what will happen, I've had that happen before where I blew over the green completely and I ended up in the rough on the back side of the green. I think I only need about 4, maybe 4 topspin. Maybe, if I can get an opponent. If I can get an opponent. Clandy land. G1748 goes first. I always laugh when I see people with custom license plates, and the custom license plate's some shit, and you're like looking at it going, what is that? So the only person that knows what it is, they pay, in Oregon, they pay $250 a year for a custom license plate. So you're paying $250 a year for a custom license plate that you're the only person who knows what that means. Perfect. In the sand, just missed it. Nice. Nice shot. Nice shot, man. And that's the deal, taking a rock and a kingmaker and just going for it that way. That's the way to go. That does work. Now the wind is blowing me along that path, so let's do 3/8. It'll be about a little over a ring and a half, or 2.5 rings. I'm going to put the forward distance back in. Put just a little teeny bit of curl on it and see what happens, like where it goes down in that range. Isn't it perfect? See if it bleeds down that hill. If it engages that hill at all, it will go down the hill. Same spot my opponent's in. Trying to take that shot so I don't have to use max overpower every time. If we've got any headwind, you'll have to use more overpower, obviously, but trying to do it so you're not having to do a max OP shot every time, because if you don't hit it perfect, you could be in big trouble. You hit it to the left, you're going to end up in that sand. You hit it to the right, and you could have big problems with those trees. Big problems. I almost think I want to take this with one backspin and just get up on the hole. Play it like I was playing an in-bringer. Hit it one ring great to the left. Left was the side. Anything on the right would have been bad. Bad. What that tells me is wind was not a factor from that distance. I was hedging my bet there. That's why I set the ball up on the right-hand side. So if wind was a factor, it would push me back to the pin. And so with a one ring great to the right, it might have missed on the low side. Maybe. Hole number 6. Hole number 6. This is definitely... Let's not overshoot this. I think I overshot this yesterday. Let me make some notes for hole number 5. I'm going to use an APOC and a 5 power ball. Max topspin. Max right hand side spin and a little curl. Adjust power appropriately. Hole number 6. I'm going to take an extra mile, a sniper. And today, let's see which way the wind's blowing today. We got headwind. I'm going to bring a Kingmaker just to cut the wind down a little bit. Just to cut the wind down. I do not want to have to pick pick a ball while I'm out on the course. Now yesterday I brought this combo out and I ran some topspin on there. I got to figure the topspin stuff out because I put myself, I still had a second shot, but still had my second shot was still there. I was still able to do the rough bump with the sniper, but I left a ton of distance out on the table. I go first. I think the deal is I was using 3 topspin, but I was doing max overpower. Yeah, I was using more than that. With that headwind, there's 4. I'm going to use 4.5. See if that's too much. I'm going to give myself plenty of room. That'd be about 1.5 rings. Hit a 1 ring great to the right. I run out of fairway faster when I hit to the right. And you got to go farther on the drive before you get to the other side. Still have a shot from there, and I cleared the trees. But I'm still not getting the distance out to the end. My opponent's using all their topspin on an 8. And I'm pretty sure that much topspin, if we had tailwind, will be... You definitely have to take the wind out, but this is one of those holes where it's 2.9, but it actually feels like 6. Because like they just barely made it over, but you could see when they were actually at their red line pushing it forward, how much distance they had. This just, I'm going to take a little bit of wind off. I'm just going to do a 3-1, and I'm going to be 3 rings of separation. And it just seems like I could take a little bit of wind off. I know that there was an adjustment here, and we were working that number. I'm going to take a little off. I'm just going to do 3-1. Hitting it perfect. Let's really pay attention to this first bounce. Nice bounce. In the hole. I took off 10% there. Minus 10 to the cup. In the hole. That doesn't make up for the timeout on the one par 3, but it does kind of make up for the timeout on the one par 3, but it'll never make up for the timeout on the par 3. I know that when I came up here, sometimes when you're doing these rough bumps, like you want to be, like literally you need to be like one ring off the rough. And sometimes you need to be 2, but for some reason it seemed like I was getting an irregular bounce at 2. And then it was coming out of the rough better when I was 3 rings deep into the rough. My opponent's eyeballing it. So I have no idea what kind of an adjustment that was. It looked like it was an overpull. Isn't it perfect? And it was an underpull. Good game. Good game. -10. All right, this hole right here, definitely, I'm going to do, so on this one, I'm going to use a rock. I'm going to be at the, no, wrong hole. Wrong hole. This is a par 3, right? It is a par 3. Hey, back. Let's go look at it. Let me try and remember what this hole is. I was hoping that this was hole number 8. Ah, this one. Okay, so I found a spot yesterday trying to go straight at the cup. And I think what I need to do is I need to bring a katana. I need to make sure I have a katana in my bag, and we'll see if I can find that spot again. It was 3 side spin, and it was like 3 3/4 top spin. Let me buy some just to make sure I got some, since katanas are big in this tournament. There is a rough bump that you can do from down on this hole. But I almost think you have to bring out a Goliath in order to get enough topspin to get out there. I don't even know if a Goliath has enough topspin to get out there. But there is a shot that you can take under these trees where you can get your ball to go to the cup. I've tried this hole in a bunch of different ways, but I'm trying something new on it. I'm trying to find something new, or at least consider the possibility. Nate Dog. Nate Dog. Welcome to the channel. What's up? My opponent's also using a katana. Now the deal from out there is you'll have to use curl in order to get around it. And anytime you involve the word curl in a shot, it's inconsistent. And they hit it 2 rings straight to the right. And you have to get past the hole so that it'll drop down to the cup. If you hit it short like my opponent did, it'll fall down the hill, but it'll continue to go left as it's falling down the hill, and it'll pull it farther away. You got to really bring it around the other side if you're coming at it from the hillside trying to drop it down to the cup. If I remember correctly, it was 3 3/4. Let's see if I can find that spot. Three and a little. Right at it. 4.2. 4.83 rings. I'm not sure where I'm at in my clip, so I'm just going to do a max adjustment. 4.83. There's 4.83. Hitting it perfect. Just a bit outside. So that was 3 right side spin and 3 1/4 backspin. And that was with a Grizz and a Katana. And I did 15% there, but I'm not sure I need to run my ball guide a little bit farther through it. The deal is if you run your ball guide a little bit farther through it and you run maybe a little bit less backspin to run it through there, it changes the deal. So like right there, you could go, hey, maybe you over pulled it, but until you can get your trajectory right. And this next hole is a prime example. So yesterday I came out on this hole and I tried, I think I did one backspin. And what my trajectory was, I started off, I used a rock. And everybody out there, you're going to have to figure this out for the clubs that you have in your bag. So I used a rock at the +3 mark with a Katana. And I was 2 rings of separation off of this transitional surface. So I was slightly in front of the tree at the +3 mark. I did maximum left-hand side spin, so max left. And I did max curl. But I only put on one backspin, and my trajectory, when I came around the bend, I was on this trajectory right here. I just missed the sand. I was in between the sand, and I ended up out in this area. And I'm going to tell you, if you're long on this hole, there is some tough-ass chips from up there. This green has so much, it looks like they had groundhogs out here that dug a bunch of holes, and instead of like flattening the surface out, they just covered the holes up and planted some grass. There's all kinds of movement on this green. And so you really don't want to be long up here. You want to be out in the flat, either on the green here or even out here in front is not bad, or even over here on the side. There's some difficult chips from over here as well. And I've been on the green before, and there are some, depending on where you're at, if you're high at the cup, there can be some difficult putts. Those putts that do this, where you got to bring it around to the cup, and I don't really like those. I always like it when my arrow's in the middle and I'm not having to hit. I'm facing the screen straight on, but I'm having to figure out the stuff at an angle. I really don't like doing that. So I'm going to put on one more backspin. I'm going to put on 2 backspin. I may actually try 2. I may actually overdo it and try 2.5 backspin. And I'm not going to change anything else. So what the backspin will do is when I hit in this area, the backspin doesn't take effect until the ball hits the ground the very first time. And if you put, I've got maximum left-hand side spin. That backspin, as soon as it hits, the side spin hits and the backspin hits, and it will jerk the ball farther to the left. Even though I haven't changed my side spin, the backspin will pull the ball because of this spin. It'll pull the ball farther to the left. And it'll make it shorter so that I can try and get closer to the green. But instead of my trajectory being along this path and ending up out here, that backspin will pull it towards the cup. So the only adjustment I'm going to make is I'm going to add on 1.5 more backspin, and we'll see if I can get the right trajectory. So once again, Katana. Katana and a rock, number 2 bag, and a Katana. And that's already selected. Good to go. I guess this tournament is sponsored by Katana, the little cousin of Titan. We might be Titans, but we got more spin. I'm playing a hillbilly. And he's not a real hillbilly, because if he was a real hillbilly, he'd be in a clan. I always thought hillbillies came from Arkansas, but they actually come from West Virginia. In the cold, a shout out to everybody from West Virginia. You got that cold country up there, and that's a whole different world. It actually, if you're in the cold country in West Virginia, the landscape when you're driving through the mountains there is absolutely beautiful. You'll never see, there isn't any place else in the United States that looks like that. And I've been all over. You're literally in these little, you're at the bottom, you look up one side and it's nothing but a mountain, you can't see anything. And then you look up the other side and it's a mountain, you can't see anything. And there's a little river running in between. It's a weird landscape. It's like nothing else you'll find in the U.S. That dog will, ooh, it rolled back into the rough. That's unfortunate. Okay, +3. 2.5 backspin. We'll try it. Let's set the spin up first. 2.5 backspin. Max side spin. Going to be 2 rings off at the +3 mark. 3.6, and I'm going to add on 10%, so I'm going to do 3.9. There's 3.9. Max curl. Hitting it perfect. And see if that pulls me back around to the cup and shortens my distance up. And it did. So I'm going to do 3 backspin. That 1.5, I was over there, like where my opponent's at. I was like halfway through this rough on the 1 backspin, but adding on 1.5 pulled me up to there. So I'm going to do 3 backspin. 3. And I may actually up that just a titch. I'll have to look at where that second bounce is down there. And that second bounce will kind of determine the deal, like how much backspin you can actually put on. Because you'll put on so much that it'll clip the rough. I think you could still bleed out, but I want to get a trajectory that's going. I want to end up right where my opponent's at right now. I've came damn close to hitting hole-in-ones on this hole several times, and it is possible. If you use a rapier, I'm telling you, this hole might be better to play it like a end bringer and just get up there close to the hole and use a little bit of backspin. Oh, and that grate's going to kill me. Is it going to kill me? No. Everybody uses an end-bringer, thinks that the only way that you can play those shots, it's super accurate. Well, a rapier's super accurate, and you can play it exactly like an end-bringer. The problem with running the topspin out, which is what we normally do if you play with a rapier, the problem with that is that on a lot of courses, the green is pretty flat. So you can run the topspin out, and you can hit it great to the left or the right, and it'll still go in. But on courses like this, where there's a lot of movement on the green, if you run the topspin, now you're relying on the course, and it can break off very, very easy. So instead of running the topspin like we normally would, I think it's better to put on the 2 backspin and get up close to the hole and play it exactly like they play end-bringers. The benefit is that you can get on a hole and go, hey, this hole doesn't have a lot of movement. I can run my topspin, get my ball guide super close to me, and make that chip with your eyes closed. You end-bringer people. And there's always been a debate since the game came out, end-bringer and which are you going to play, end-bringer or a rapier? I'm not in love with my rapier. I just happen to have we're really good friends. Really good friends. Okay, I'm going to play the shot from down here. There is a shot that you can play up here, and if you're playing the shot up here, you just need to clear these trees. So you have that straight up shot. You have options when you're over here. That is one of the things I will say about this shot over here, is if you can get, and you can, especially if you bring out a bigger power ball, you can start off on the other side and you can pound the hell out of that ball and get down here in the shadows. You do have some options from that side that you don't have from this side. So from over here, it's almost worth bringing out a bigger power ball so that you can, the problem with the shot from over here is there is a backboard that you can use, and you can follow your ball guide down to the backboard, follow your ball guide back down to the cup. It's kind of hard to find that spot. And just a yard or two of difference down here can make it hard to find that spot. Or if we're playing against any headwind, because your first bounce is in this area. So that means if we have headwind, and if you wanted to be able to work the wind out, you'd have to pull it back from the red line in order to be able to work the wind out. And it's going to massively affect that shot. So you kind of have only one way of going at it if you're this way. If you come out here, especially if you can get it way out there, you can go straight at the cup. You really can't use the backboard anymore. Let me get that picture where you can see the green. You really can't use the backboard anymore because of the angle, because the backboard's coming down like this and you're coming at it from this angle. And so you really don't want to use the backboard because it's going to kind of pull you off the cup. You can find a spot out there and you can use it. It's not that you can't. But you can also do a rough bump from here and try and bring it up to the cup, or you can just hit it straight off and go straight at the cup. This shot from out here going in, when you find the spot and you can get your tail to walk back down, it is a thing of beauty. But it is hard sometimes to get the ball guide to work right, to get down there. And you've got some variables, because if you're a yard different here, it's gonna affect it over here. So I'm kind of unsure. I like the shot on the bottom, and I will tell you that I've hit more albies from the bottom than I have from up here at the top. But I'm almost thinking I want to take the shot at the top today and just see what that looks like from over there. Let's see what kind of wind we have. I think we have, hey, that wind's not helping or hurting us. I'm going to bring one of those 444s. I want to see what it looks like if I bring a 444, how far I can pound it down in there. When this hole first came out, we did have berserkers, but like the ball inventory that's out there now, especially with these holes that we've played for a long, long time, there's certain things that we've always like, hey, this is what you do on this hole. But some of the balls that are out there can change what you can or can't do on a hole, or the looks that you get. I will tell you, when the albatross balls came out, I know I talk about those balls a lot, the 5 power 2 topspin boost, I think they're 3 stability. Those balls, like, if I really think the way to play the ball thing is to just have a couple of each ball in your bag. So like you've got two different types of power 5 balls. You really need a zero wind one, because there are some holes that a zero wind one will really come in handy. Those topspin boost balls really come in handy. 444s and maybe a 4 power ball that's got topspin boost. But really, those would be the only things that you'd need. Let's try and get it all on there. Let's try and get all the tops. I want to see how far I can get down in there, and I'm going to do a max curl shot. I want to see how far I can get down into that hole. 2.5. There's 2.1. And a little. Two rings great to the left. As long as I don't hit through the break, there's a hill here, so I mean it should roll down that. And you can overshoot that hill, but if you can bleed off like that, you should have a pretty good chance of just staying in the green. I think that shot set up right there, I think I was like 2 rings off on this side right here, 2 to 3 rings away from this transitional surface. You could probably hit that 2 rings great to the left or the right and still end up in a pretty good spot in the fairway. And obviously with the tailwind. Now, if you're going to take this shot down here at the bottom, I really think that it's, number one, I would bring the most accurate club you have in your bag, the one that has the best ball guide, because you do not want to be long right here. But I think if you're going to take the lower shot, a 4 power ball will work better, because you can find a more consistent spot on the other end. Even if we had a little bit of headwind, you could pull back from that red line and try and find a consistent spot to find the walk back that you're looking for. I want to see how close I can get to my rings. That looks pretty straight up. I'm 2 rings into the rough. I'm 2 rings away on that side. I'm just going to do a +10, and that is right at 2 rings, a little less than 2. Getting it perfect. Just a little bit too fast. And I could have did a little teeny bit more on that. Maybe a plus 12. I'm going to change my notes here. I'm going to go extra mile, power 4. If we get a big headwind, I may have to use a power 5 ball. Rough bump. Sniper. And I was using a Kingmaker, or excuse me, I was using a rock and a Kingmaker down on the lower shot where my opponent was, and I was pulling my rock back to where I was at the +1 mark. And then from the +1 mark, I was putting on 3.5 backspin, and it put me in a very nice spot. See if my opponent's trying to run back down the hill. They don't have enough speed, and won't make it all the way back down to the cup. Close. I'm definitely convinced a bigger power ball will help you on that hole. It's not that you can't get it done. Hell, if you go to the bottom line, you can get it done with a marlin. In one-on-one play, you really want to play the bottom line, and you can get it done with a marlin. It's a long shot on that second shot. So if you got like a horizon or a sniper, a horizon works even better on this. So if you got a bag that's got, you know, an accurate bag that's got a horizon in it for your second club, you're going to be able to take advantage of all that topspin. So even with the timeout, getting a -14, this, I'm 100% confident that as the week goes on, which hole did I time out on? I timed out on one of these holes. Didn't I time out on one of these holes? Oh, I missed hole number 3. I did time out. Right here, this should have been a 2. So I picked up 2 of the par 4s and dropped that one. So we have, I think number 2 is a great opportunity. Like, I like to go through these tournaments and like looking at holes that you can pick up. Like, where are our best opportunities to attack the course? We have a great opportunity on hole number 1. And I think there's multiple, you know, there is multiple ways that we can really kind of go with this. We can do the layup shot here and try and do the rough bump, or try and use the backboard. You can pound it out here. The thing about trying to pound it out here is that you're more than likely going to have to use max overpower, and it can be a little inconsistent. So one time you might be there, and one time you might be there, and one time you might be there, and one time you might be on the rough. And so it can be a little bit inconsistent in your landing zone. Whereas if you're going this way, now I was trying to get super freaking greedy on my drive, and I took a big chance, like I was right there, but if I would have hit it great to the left, I would have been in the sand. So you've got a little bit more room out there where you don't have to get that much. And where my red line issue's at, that's probably the deal, is I can take this with a Katana, like thinking it through. The real deal is that try not to get so much distance, because I'm taking a huge risk trying to get that much distance, because if I hit anything to the left, I'm in the sand. Whereas if I pull my distance back a little bit, so I'm ending up in this zone, the sand's not in play, and it pulls me back enough so that now I'm in minimum sniper right at that spot. So I think that's what I'm going to do on that if I want to continue to do this, instead of trying to bring out, now I could bring out a Goliath and try and get in that same spot, but now you're taking the risk on the drive that you could end up in the sand. And the whole deal is your drive is nothing more than a delivery system. Okay, if this is where you can consistently get and you don't have any risk, and you're right there. If you hit it great to the left, you're right there. If you hit it great to the right, you're right there. So you still have pretty much the same shot. And I think my red line with my sniper would be right in that neighborhood right there with a Katana. And so even if I had a tailwind, I'd still be able to work that wind out by pulling myself back a little bit on the drive and taking the sand completely out of play. So that is what I'm going to do on that, instead of trying to mess around with the other stuff. I'm just not going to hit the drive as far. If you hit out into here, though, you are going to have, like, this is your landing zone. And you need to make it past those trees. That's it. That's key. You need to make it past those trees. But we do have opportunities on hole number 1, and it is eagleable. This is a great hole-in-one hole. I just need to get my act together on this hole, and we do have a serious opportunity for hole-in-one on this hole. Another great hole. I will tell you that I'm going to have to think about how I want to play this second shot on this hole, because I really don't like having to use backboards, because you have to kind of, if you can walk your ball guide all the way back to the cup, then you're not having to kind of extrapolate, like it's breaking here and the cup is right here. Is it going to break hard and go down to the hole, or is it going to tail off and go? So you, from here down, you're having to try and eyeball figure it out. And I usually don't like to do that kind of stuff where you have to kind of extrapolate where it's going to go. If I can walk my ball guide all the way back to it, I can think of another par 3 in the game that's on like Southern Pines, where you can walk your ball guide all the way back to the hole, but we don't have a rough here in front of that sand, so the rough bumps out, and I'm not sure that a sand bump, you're not far enough away. You're not having to use, I'm not sure I'd want to do that. But it seems like you have to use a lot of backspin if you want to go straight at it. The key here, the deal here might be, is trying to get as far as you can up in the front and bringing out a bigger power ball so that you're in your short iron. Because your short iron's coming in, your long iron, let's say your long iron was here and your short iron is here. When you're coming in with your long iron, it's going to take more backspin to stop it, because of its flight from where you hit it to its first landing zone, and then it takes a bounce forward. You're going to have to use more backspin to tighten that up. Whereas if you're in a short iron, it's not coming in with as much speed when it lands on that first spot, so you don't have to, you can walk it up a little bit more. So maybe bringing out a bigger power ball from this zone, like you'd have to work out the drive shot so that you land in this spot, because it's probably more ball than what you need to get to that spot. But that ball, you're bringing that ball not for the first shot, you're bringing that ball for the second shot. And the second shot is the money shot. The first shot, the drive, is nothing more than a delivery system to put you in a very consistent spot so that you can really try and dial that shot in. This hole, I haven't had the success that you would want on a hole like this, and I love this. You can get that damn close, and it's a very difficult hole because of that sand trap. I suppose if you could get out all the way on the end here from where the pin is, you might be able to bypass the sand, where you could run it up a little bit more and use some side spin. So maybe being a little bit higher on the hole, and you could start off on the side and bring it around. But I'm going to work on this hole and figure, I'm going to play this hole a little bit different than I played it in the past. I'm going to figure something out. I suppose for those Dale Appleby fans out there, you can get your stuff here. So if we draw, let's look at this page here. Hey, let's scroll it back a little and see if we can look at it from our tee box. I think my red line on a max shot was out here. So if I go from this zone out to here and I draw an arc, you know, if I came out into here, could you do a max overpower hook shot and run up the alley? You'd have to clear these trees. I'm not sure if you could get enough flight time to go from here all the way over to the other side. You might. I'm not sure what kind of ball you'd have to bring out, and these trees start to come into play with that much curl on it. But that might be an opportunity. That might be an option as well. If we could clear from here to here and get a run down this alley, we could do it. But I think you're really going to have to get past those trees, I suppose. And I've actually never hit this. If I really wanted to play this different, because I think this shot up here just is not, you know, you'd want to have a higher percentage on this than what we're getting here. And maybe we piss the spectators off, which I don't normally like to do. And there's a bunch of spectators out here because everybody hits this direction, is to come out here and try and bring your ball out into this area. And from here, I'm sure you've got a sniper straight into the cup, and it's straight into the cup. And that might be an option. Might be. And I'm sure you could take this shot right here with a big topper, because it's got lots of curl and it's got lots of topspin, and you could try and run it all the way to the top. That might be a different way of playing it. But I'm going to figure out some way to play this hole that's different than what I've been playing. This par 3 right here, if I had some lower wind balls, I think playing this would be okay. There is kind of a lip on that sand, so I'm not sure how much the sand is distorting it, because the wind has been blowing in such a way that we didn't have to really involve the sand. And I don't normally go for this isn't my cup of tea for rough bumps. If I was going to hit this rough bump, I'd want to hit it straight up here. But I've seen G strings that were bigger than that. So I'm going to try and hit it from down in here and try and run it up to the cup. And I'm close, but I'm not there yet. All right. Hole number 5. Okay, we have to get an eagle on this. That's the deal. So today I ran an APOC, max top spin, maximum right hand side spin, a little teeny bit of curl. I was using a 5 power ball and got a pretty good run at it down into that zone down there. Now I was using a berserker, so I was only using a 2 side spin ball, and a 3 side spin ball would have worked better. So if you got a power 5, 3 side spin ball, and you may not be able to get all of the top spin on, that's the thing, is you may have 3 side spin, but you can't get all the side spin and all the top spin. So in this situation, I think it would be better to have all of the side spin and run however much top spin's left to try and get it so that it bleeds down through the middle instead of coming off on this side. And if you use the 4 power, one of the 444s, you just have to use more, and I put the wind back in it today. We were getting headwind today, so no, we were getting wind that was blowing in this direction. It was blowing along the path, and I did put the wind back in and a little teeny bit of overpower. I'm going to work on this hole, and I'm going to check my ball inventory. I've got a different ball inventory in my 77 account, and if I may have a 5 power ball that's got 3 side spin. We'll check it out. But we need to get, this is a hole we need to get. So when we talk about minimum score at -12, this hole right here is a +1 hole. We've got to get this. I mean, up to this point, these first 4 holes, I say number 2 is probably your absolute best chance to pick a shot up in the first 4 holes. It's not that you can't get one on 1, 3, and 4, but hole number 2 is definitely one that we want to focus on, and we want to really try and get going as the week goes on. But number 5, we really need to pick that one up. Hole number 6. I did a -10 on this, -10 to the cup with a sniper from out here. Just using a regular power 3 ball. You're bouncing from this side going over, and I still got to work on my topspin to see what kind of distance I can pick up. But we do have a great shot to the cup here. Great shot. Hole number 7. I'm going to continue to work. I'm playing this hole different because in the past I've played it where I've done curl on it and really tried to bring it behind the hole. So you're trying to get it so that it comes over in this area, and when it drops down towards the cup. If you're where the pin is, if you come in and your ball starts to break before it gets to that, it's going to roll off big time. When you go past it, if you've taken the shot any amount of time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You really got to go past it to the point where you think, wow, I way overshot that. And then when it starts to drop down the hill, it'll go right down to the cup. There is almost a funnel right there where it will, once it catches it, it'll roll down to the cup. But I'm going to try that shot from underneath the trees down here where I put on 3 and 3.25 backspin, 3 right hand side spin. I did a +15, but I'm going to lengthen out how much, because my ball guy was terminating right at the cup, and I'm going to lengthen it out a little bit. And when I lengthen it out, so if you lengthen it out, in order to lengthen it out, I'll have to take off a little backspin. It's going to pull the ball to the left. So if I take the backspin out, it's going to pull it a little bit to the left, and I'll have to get a little bit underneath the tree. So I'm going to have to work on that and get my landing spot right first, and then I'll start changing the amount. I started off with a +15 for wind, and I did it at max club, but I'm going to have to work on that. I want to try and go straight for the cup. I'm going to try underneath the trees because I want to take the word curl out of my shot. If you're using curl, it's going to be very inconsistent. It's not that you can't make it. You're going to make it and you're going to be totally excited, and then you go back the next time and you think you do exactly the same thing. But curl is hard to replicate. Either no curl or max curl. Those are the only two things that are super replicatable. But some curl is, what's some? Yeah. Hole number 8, we have to get this hole. We have to get it. So the first time through, I came through with +1 backspin, and then this time I came through with +2.5. And the first time through, I was 2 rings of separation off with a katana at the +3 mark. Max curl came through and was on this trajectory. The only thing I changed was I added on 1.5 backspin, and I came through and I was on this trajectory. But it was still a little bit too long. And I was actually, like, if here's the flagpole, I was actually halfway, kind of split the difference. So I'm gonna, what I need to pay attention to and go back and look at the video is where that second bounce was, because you can put so much backspin on it that it hits fine at the top of the hill, but then it clips the rough and just bleeds out or gets caught in the rough. So I think I can put on 3, maybe 3.5, and try and pull it more towards the flagpole, because where I really want to end up is on the green right there by the flagpole, because I would rather take a putt than a chip. And if you happen to take a chip on this hole or the other par 4 that was in here and you're using a rapier, I highly recommend playing it like people play their in-bringers and put on a couple backspin and get up close to the hole so that you're not involving all the movement on the green. Hole number 9, I'm convinced that we need to play, that I'm going to play this with a power 4 ball, just because I want to get more distance down in here. And I think if we have headwind, trying to make it over, getting over this area. This is one of those holes where if we got a 3 wind, it's really pushing about 6, where you'll barely make it over. And I think I'm going to go for this side because I can do that rough bump, and I think it'll be a little bit more consistent than when you're down in here trying to get the funnel where you're coming down the hill. Because you need to make sure that your spot here, so like a lot of these holes you would write down, I'm doing X spin. I'm doing 3 backspin or 3 top spin or 3 1/4 top spin, and I'm doing 1.5 right hand side spin, and you write that number down, and then when you get into that spot, you put that spin on, you take out the wind, bam, you're right there. But here, if you're 1 yard off here, that means your spot up here is going to be a little bit different, and it may be difficult to find that spot. That's why if you bring out a 4 power ball, you might be able to find that spot a little bit better if you pull back from the red line initially. Even maybe bringing out a bigger power ball, a 5 power ball, so that you can push the red line forward and then come back. Maybe you're only at +2. But that way you can work that spot, and no matter what kind of wind we have, you can find that spot. But from over here, I think we can do that rough bump no matter what. And on a shot like this from distance, I think a rough bump is always good. Now, I had a little bit too much speed there, and we had tailwind, and I didn't really adjust for the tailwind. I went right to the cup. I went over the cup. I did a 10%, and I'm going to try a 12 next time. But if we have tailwind, I'm going to leave my ball guide just a tit short. Not real short, but maybe half a square. Maybe a square. So we have opportunities on this. But I see 2 holes that we absolutely have to get, 5 and 8. And I see hole number 2 as one that we really need to get. And there's opportunities on all of these holes. I think some of those opportunities are better than others. But just taking those 3 shots into account, you're at -15. And I think in the weekend round, you're really going to have to shoot a 30 plus. And I think a 32 is what we're really trying to shoot for. All right, that was my qualifying round in my practice account. Just trying to get my notes dialed in. So what I'm going to do with my main account is I'll qualify it. I'm going to qualify tomorrow. I'll see how Dunner's doing. Dunner's got some stuff going on this week, and he may not be able to play tomorrow. I'm going to talk to him tonight, and if he can, I don't think he's going to be able to play tomorrow, but I'll talk to him. And so tomorrow I'm going to go through and really make sure that the ball club combos that I've picked are what I want to play. And then from this point forward, now I know what shot I'm going to take. I've picked my pony. Now I'm going to work on wind adjustments and really try and tighten those wind adjustments up for the shot that I want to take. There you have it. That was my practice round in the Grizzly tournament. Thanks for watching. Everybody have a great week. Stay safe. And I would say don't do anything I wouldn't do, but that might not be good. Have fun. Thanks for watching.